Hello beer tubers and welcome to another Throwback Thursday with me, Peter, the master of hobbits, throwing back with some Rauchbier from a brewery that I think was maybe a bit harsh on the first time I tried them. I've stayed at the brewery numerous times in Bamberg. This is Brauerei Spezial. So in Bamberg there are two producers of Rauchbier that still make it the authentic way, the original way, and the two brewers are Schlenkerla or Brauerei Heller, and the other one is Brauerei Spezial. As it says here, Christian Merz, who is the owner and brewmaster there on the label, brewed since according to the Reinheitsgebot and whatnot. But this is one of the breweries that survived. There's only two surviving breweries in Bamberg that are traditional Rauchbier producers, and that's Spezial and Schlenkerla. Their styles are a bit different. The Spezial has a forward smoke character, but it's not as intense and bombastic, at least some variants, compared to Schlenkerla. It's a very nice brewery. If you're ever going to Bamberg, I urge you, stay at Spezial. And it's such a nice place, really friendly people. There was one night where you can feel like they were sick of young people who drank beer. But otherwise, staffing and everything was awesome. It's such a nice place to stay. I've stayed there numerous times. It's the main place I've stayed when I've been to Bamberg. And drinking the Rauchbier there at the source at the brewery and / the tavern. It's like a brewery, tavern, and guest house where you can have rooms and stay there. It's amazing. And the prices are insane. Wow. We bought crates to bring home and I was baffled by the price. So I can smell smoke already. This one is actually fresher. I have two bottles of this still in the cellar. One is the one I picked up in Bamberg. This is a fresh one I recently got online. So on Bier aus Franken, is that the name? Something like that. But again, with these beers, you need a German friend to help you out because they only ship in Germany. But got a fresher bottle for the video, and the other one I'll just kick back with. But I wanted to revisit these because one of the beers that impressed me the most on the trip, besides, of course, drinking Schlenkerla and the awesome Schlenkerla beer straight at the source and everything, was this lager beer from Spezial. It was such a pure expression of smoke. So the lager beer is 4.9%, and then the Bock here is 6.7%, made for the autumn-winter season. So let's start off with the lager beer. So pur is a beautiful color. I think a lot of people have a tendency to compare this to the Märzen, but this is just their classic Rauchbier, really. The Märzen is stronger from Schlenkerla and also their Märzen, and then I think they feature a little bit of Carafa, both for coloring the beer and getting it darker. This is pure smoke malt. This is all Spezial's own smoke malt, which is a Munich type malt. So all Munich malt that is smoked in-house. Nice little head there. It was much frothier when I poured it, of course. But yeah, lovely copper reddish color to this one. And beige head, let's check out the aroma. The thing with this, what I really, really love about this, and this carries that, not as much as at the brewery, of course, because it's not as fresh, but it has this ultra juicy, fresh malt character. And if people when you're talking about juicy malt, if you ever drink lagers really fresh, you have this uber vibrant malt character that seems almost juicy to some extent. It sounds weird, but it's just so vibrant and flavorsome. And you can smell that still here somewhat. Like this really vibrant, rustic, pumpernickel kind of breadiness or hazelnut country loaves and like this deep breadiness paired with smoke. And it is a lovely smoke. It is forward, it's there, but balanced with the base beer. It's just so vibrant and alive, which is I think maybe also drinking it now, I'm more appreciative of beers that are not necessarily as big a smack in your face. Because originally the reason why I liked Schlenkerla the most was because it was a bigger smack in the face. So this is more gentle, but still really forward. And it's that hammy smoke, but there's also just charry wood, cured meats. Not just bacon, but cured meats in general. It could be ham, it could be charcuterie of sorts. It just smells delicious, and even a touch of hops to it, like a spicy noble hop thing. My saliva's going nuts. Let's try some cheers. And cheers to Bamberg and Franconian beer. It's some of the best in the world in my mind. This is the perfect session Rauchbier. bar none, of all Rauchbiers in the world, that or at least in Germany, this is the best session Rauchbier. This is not a Rauchbier where you drink a bottle and it's like, I'm enough. I've had enough of smoke. This you can session because it's so well balanced on smokiness and vibrancy and everything, fresh maltiness, a bit of hoppiness. It's such a fantastic beer. Like, so simple yet so complex. Layers and layers and layers of rich malt character. Again, without being too much either. Like, this is just such a great study in balance, how you balance flavors in something as like different and Marmite-like almost of beer in Rauchbier. Like the style that a lot of people don't like. Like, this is how you balance it like crazy well. You can definitely go higher in smoke, and some people love that. But this is just perfect the way it is. This is how this beer is supposed to be. This should not be changed. Such a lovely, juicy, vibrant smoke character. Again, it's ham. It's slightly woody. It's like charcuterie. It is barbecue kind of smoke. If you ever smoke barbecue yourself, it's that like that slab of meat. I think it's more like porky smoke than smokiness, meatiness than really beefy, for example. But it just reminds me of barbecuing as well. Like, oh man, I need to get this beer more often for whenever. Like, this is such, like, if I'm in the mood for just a Rauchbier to kick back and drink, like, just refresh me, this is it. And then that like really juicy, vibrant Munich maltiness. Like, it's not as vibrant right now in the bottle as when it was at the brewery. Like, the first beers we had were actually at Fessler, which is right next door from Spezial. And they were all right. It was nice having some beer after a long trip, especially one of their beers, which I already forget was nice. But Fessler is not my favorite in Bamberg. But then we went across the street, and then after we had dinner, because there was no room at Spezial, but then there was room when we came for having a beer, and we had this, and it was just like, after a long drive and everything, it was just like, and all the food, and it was at the same time it made you relax, but it was also like eye-opening to how drinkable you can make a Rauchbier with 100% smoked malt. That's insanity. Since we were there during the Bock season and the winter season, I also got a Bock to bring home. And this one is 6.7%. I think this is around the same territory as Schlenkerla's Urbock. But I remember this also being a drier beer. In general, the beers at Spezial are a little bit more dry and not as sweet, as far as I remember as well. Because like some of the, not like that Schlenkerla's beers are really sweet, but if you compare it to like the Urbock and the Doppelbock Eiche, for example, they have a little bit more sweetness than these, as far as I remember. And also, the Märzen has a little bit of sweetness and whatnot. But yeah, let's check out the Bock here. So nice, like rust. Oh, it's got some reddish hues to it, like slightly reddish hued. Ruby reddy, wow. But looks great. Chestnutty brown color to it as well. Similar tan looking head. Let's check out the Bock, not the Doppelbock. So Dunkelbock. So this is definitely a bit more rich on the malt character, but it doesn't carry the same vibrancy of smoke as the Lagerbier. The Lagerbier is fucking insane. This is like, if you compare it to Schlenkerla's Urbock and you had them side by side, I think you'd be a bit disappointed. The smoke is definitely there, but it feels a little less vibrant than this one. Like, when you smell that, that's just pure delicious smoke. This, definitely more malt sweetness, that bready Munich malt character. It has caramel, toffee, toasted nuttiness, that countryside loaf, like intense rustic breadiness. I always have a hard time defining all the bready flavors because I don't know that many breads. But I'm just trying, because it's not just bready. Like, you can be more specific than that. But yeah, it smells really good. And then again, like porky smokiness. Let's try it. Cheers. Also really nice. Surprisingly drinkable. Surprisingly hop character. There's definitely a good kick of hoppiness to it. This one definitely goes into more of like a pumpernickel than that one. It's a bit more rustic. It's a bit more hefty, robust. The smoke is there. Bitterness too. good amount of hop bitterness, actually. Not like overbearing, but higher than the lager beer, which balances the sweetness. And then a touch, even almost like a touch of chocolate notes, but caramel and toffee, toasted nuttiness, breadiness. There's loads of malt flavors. And I think it's interesting, like just comparing the two right now, the smoke is a little bit more second fiddle in this compared to this. Like the smoke is, it's massive on that. Oh, that's, man, that could be like desert island beer, to be honest. Like some of those Slinkerers are for sure as well, desert island beers, but if you like Rauchbiers, but that, oof. Yeah, just a tad sweeter. There's maybe a slight bit of like warming sensation to it. I'm not sure if it's really alcohol, but there's just like a little bit of a warmth. I think it could also be something with the bitterness, because it definitely has like more sharp bitterness. It's a bit spicy. It's definitely peppery as well, but really nice. But it's almost like a more sessionable version of Schlenkerlas Bock as well, if you can compare the two. Because Schlenkerlas is a bit more rich and definitely also richer in the smoke character. This one is more drinkable and definitely more malty. Like it tastes like this is not as heavy on smoked malt as the other one, but I could be wrong. It could be just because I compare a beer that's 100% smoked malt with one where you blend some other malts in for complexity. But it's still awesome nonetheless. But this, man, I'm gonna have to save some, because after this review, and it might have aired already, but I'm gonna be in a beer school episode with Chad from Chad's Beer Reviews. We're gonna do that online, and after that, we're doing part of his beer tuber podcast interview, and we're doing the beer school on smoked beer. But we're actually doing Schlenkerlas Urbock. But I wanted to review this beforehand so we could talk a little bit about these two as well, because I think this brewery also needs to get some rep or some preaching about it, because Schlenkerla isn't the only Rauchbier brewery in Bamberg that solely focuses on it and has done it for years. Although they are world famous and amazing, this is also pretty fucking amazing. So in terms of grades, I think I've given this a 90 back in the day. I'm gonna bump this up to a 95. This is world-class Rauchbier. This is how you do ultra crushable sessionable Rauchbier, and I might even go higher if it was straight at the source in Bamberg, because drinking it in Bamberg at the source, really, really fresh, was one of the best experiences on the trip, actually. It's also really good Bock beer. Great, for the darker times. Well, we're approaching spring. Like a 93, 92, something like that. I think it's really good. But the lager beer is just brilliant. This is also really good, but I don't think it's world class. I think I've had both. Like, I think Schlenkerlas Urbock is better, and I also think I've had just in general darker Bock beers that are better than this. But it's still really fucking great beer. It's in the 90s territory, meaning it's great beer. It's fantastic. You'd be happy to drink this if you love Rauchbier. So if you guys had a chance to try either the Bock or the lager beer from, is it lager beer or lager? I can't remember. But if you had a chance to try either from Spezial, let me know. Fantastic Rauchbier producer. You need to check them out if you can. I don't think they do really much selling the beer outside of Germany and a few select web shops and at the brewery. They're a bit harder to come by than Schlenkerla, but as with all these, you need to go there and drink it fresh. Most beer is just best fresh at the source. That's how it is. I'm getting further and further away of aging things besides wild beers and sometimes the occasional really, really big beer. But yeah, wonderful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Throwback Thursday. We're doing another long episode, but hope you enjoyed it. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm mostly cheers is my favorite. And see you guys in another beer review or Throwback Thursday. Cheers.